So, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me on today's masterclass, where we'll be looking at our virtual notice board in CoolCare. My name's Sam, and thank you for joining me today. As I'm sure you all know, CoolCare is here to make operating your care home easier, more efficient, and ideally more profitable as well. And one of the ways we're going to be looking at how we can help with that today is through our virtual notice board. So, while you're in today's webinar, so you know, using Zoom, there is an option to use a Q&A on there. If you do have any questions for us as we're going through, oh, excuse me, make sure you do use that Q&A option. That will then go through to a member of our team who'll be able to answer any questions you've got during our webinar. And we will have some time after we kind of finish. We'll leave it open for about 5 minutes or so. Just if you've got any questions afterwards, you don't have to worry about getting them during. We can see them afterwards as well. But anything you think of at all, don't be afraid to ask on there. We'll be able to, member of the team will be on hand to answer any questions you've got. But as I say, what we'll be looking at today is our virtual notice board. So we'll be going through a few things. I'll be introducing the virtual notice board for those who haven't seen it before, to show you how it can display information for residents and visitors to your home and how that all works, and how we can also customize it, showing you how you can set it up on through your CoolCare system, and all the stuff you can do with it on there to customize its branding and what the content that shows up on there, as well as how you can go and get that up and running for you. So, for those who haven't seen it before, just to answer the question, what is a VNB? VNB stands for Virtual Notice Board, as you might have guessed already, and this essentially is a small device that plugs into a screen or a TV within your home that you've got somewhere where a lot of people can see it, to become an electronic notice board. For residents, visitors, anyone walking through the home would be able to see that virtual notice board and see what we've got kind of going on. It can display stuff such as like which staff are currently in the home, which links in with our clocking system, any events you've got going on that you've planned on there, menus for resident meals, anything else you want it to show, it can display whatever you might want it to on there. And this communication ensures that everyone knows what's going on. Anyone that's in the home can easily look at that, see what's happening today or what's coming up, and see it all on there. It gives you a nice, concise, clear message for everyone that's consistent for visitors, staff, residents, that the home is active and everyone's being informed of what's going on there. And there's plenty of options with it we can look at. So rather than just talking about it, how about I show you one? I've got a demo one, which I'm just going to swap over right now. Give me 1 second. And if I share my screen there, we should be able to see the VNB on there. So this is an example of what the virtual notice board can look like. It is essentially a web page that the device itself connects to. Scrolling through. And it can look at these different pages on there, showing different bits of information for things you might want to say, let people in the home know about. So, for example, we'll let it scroll through on a second. We can see who's in today. It is going a bit fast. Bear with me 1 second. Let me just reset that. Hopefully that'll be a bit better. So as I mentioned before, it can link in with our clocking system to show you which staff members are currently in the home. So, it might be for our residents and visitors to know who's around. It can show you our menus for your residents, for their meals for the day, show what's going to be served for them. And that's all fully customizable as well. It can even show you, once it scrolls onto the next one, today's events. So you can plan these events for what's going on in their home on different days, and those events will then pop up onto this page to tell you what's going on and what's happening on there. It can also show you our next one, special occasions, which is currently empty. I'll be adding one of those a bit later on. These would be more for stuff like residents' birthdays, anniversaries, stuff more relating to, special stuff that doesn't quite fit into the category of events on there. And you can even have customized web pages on there, whatever web page you want it to show. On there, for example, I've got our CoolCare homepage that could be stuff like a weather forecast you could pop on there for people visiting the home, so we're aware of what's going on. Anything you want, and everything you see on here is fully customizable. Be it the pages that show up on there, the order they show up in, how long they stay on there before scrolling on to the next one, the logo up in the top right corner, all the branding down the bottom, the color coding. Everything you see on here is fully customizable to suit your business, to suit the home, to look however you'd want it to be. So, question is, how do we get to this point here? How do we get to a fully functional VNB showing all the information that we want it to see? Well, we would do that through CoolCare itself. So if I just close that page for the moment. On CoolCare itself, let me log in again, excuse me. There we are. So you can access the virtual notice board through CoolCare itself. Just under your care home section on the left-hand side, you'll see under the VNB configuration. And the good thing with this is it is a specific permission, so only certain people would be able to access it if you want them to. And you could set up access for people to, to just see the VNB and not worry about anything else on CoolCare if they just need to access it to change stuff on there. So if we go to VNB configuration, it will open up a new page for me. And the first thing it takes us to is this page here, our general settings. And this is essentially where we can do some settings on here to get things setting up the way we want it to see what our VNB would look like. And this is, say, customizing the branding and information that shows up on there. So this first page here, you can see some basic details of the home itself. So you can pop in the home's name and address and contact number for them. And they then show up on the VNB down at the bottom, that address and contact number on there. You could even customize the coloring with the primary and secondary color to match your branding you've got for your business with my CoolCare coloring on there. And below that, we've even got a logo you can upload. So you can upload an image on there as a logo, and that will then show up. You can see it in the VNB manager on mine here, but it also pops up on the VNB itself, up in the top corner, just a nice logo. Again, to reflect your branding of what you've got going on in the home, can all show up through that. And it's nice and easy to make a change. You would just, if you need to change anything in here, you can just type in the box, whatever it might be, update the home address or the home number, the phone number in there, click Save Home Information, and then that's just saved for your next time, done automatically. And to say with those colors, you just click on the color there, and it's just a nice box there to find the right color you need to get the shading in there, the right thing. As for the image, it's literally just drag and drop an image into that logo there, and it will easily then get uploaded and saved on the VNB. So that's our general settings, a nice simple bits on the branding there. We've got other options on the left-hand side, as you can see. So next to general settings, we have manage pages. So this page here is all about showing essentially what information we're going to have on the VNB, what pages we're going to have show up on there, and kind of how we want them to display. So there'll be a number of preset pages set up by the virtual notice board for you to use. We'll have our Who's In Today, which is linking in with your staff clocking in system to show you which staff members are currently clocked in at the moment to then display on the virtual notice board. You'll have, say, today's menu, which is set up through the calendar, saying what menus we'd have on what days for meals for residents. Today's events, which are also managed through the calendar, showing you what events are going on in the home to then show to visitors and residents. And same again with your special occasions, just special stuff for your residents on there, which again would go through that calendar view we'll see after this. The other preset ones down at the bottom I've got there, upcoming events and past events. So as well as today's ones, you can have upcoming events to show stuff that's coming up soon within the home, as well as past events if you want to see previous events that's, to show kind of visitors what we do in the home as well. And you can order all of this just by dragging and dropping. So actually drag what I want to show up there, pop it into say the active pages, and it goes into there as easy as that. You can, if you don't want a page to show, you just drag it down to the bottom section where there are inactive pages. And that updates automatically and saves immediately on there as well. So you can easily see what pages show up, and the order they've got listed on here just changes what order they show up. So if I want my events to show before my menus, I can drag that above it, and that means it will go Who's In Today, today's events, today's menu, special occasions, and then our CoolCare homepage website I've got on there as well. So that's just easy enough to drag and drop and say what order things show up in there. As well as that, next to it, you can show how long it displays before scrolling to the next page. As you can see there, currently mine are all set to 10 seconds, but excuse me. But if I want to show something on there for a bit longer, I can just drag the bar there and say, actually, I want that to be a full 15 seconds. There's a maximum of 16 before it scrolls to the next one, as you can see there. And some stuff we might not need to show as long. So I might say, don't worry about showing my web page for not as long on there with that. So you can easily customize how long it stays on a page before it then scrolls on to the next one. And right on the right-hand side as well, you have the option to freeze the virtual notice board on a certain page. So it might be, I just wanted to show today's events and nothing else at the moment. So I could just freeze it on that page, and the virtual notice board will just stay on that today's events. It won't scroll on to anything else, and it will stay on there for as long as you want it to be like that. And whenever you want it to start scrolling again, you would just go unfreeze, and the VNB would then refresh and start scrolling through the web pages once again. So you can easily have full control over what shows up on there, and if you wanted to focus on a certain thing for a little while, you can freeze it on there to keep it on that. Whenever you do make any changes on here, like I've done here, see these kind of save automatically on this page, But what you'd want to do is then use this button down the bottom that says refresh VMB. That's, as the name might suggest, just refreshes the VMB itself that's actually scrolling through, and that will then have the changes take effect on there. It does refresh automatically by itself every so often, but if you refresh it manually on there, it means the changes take effect right away as you make them on that. So those are your kind of preset pages you have on there, but there are two types of custom page you can also create. If you see underneath manage pages there, you've got the option to create custom page. If I click on that, you can create a website or an image to be a custom page on there. And these work similar kind of ways. With the website, you just click the button there. You would pop in the link for that website and give it a name as well. There's a button there just to check it to make sure it works and will look okay on the VM. Save it, and then that page will be ready. For example, I've got my CoolCare homepage on here, which I can edit from this page as well. And it's just the name, the URL, and then that's to say saved on there, and it will just scroll to that page and view it on the VMB. Alternatively, again, through the custom page, you can add in images instead. So if you've got any certainly branding or you've got some kind of images to use plus other stuff on there, you can put those on the VMB as well. Like with the logo, which just drag and drop an image into there, and then that image will show up on the page that scrolls through on that. And that could be anything you've got. So say it might be specific information you have on there with its own kind of branding using the images on there. It might just be, say, someone's given some feedback to the home and you want to kind of show that off for everyone. You could pop that in as an image, create that, and apply it onto here with that on there. So like I say, you've got full control over what content shows up in those custom pages. You can have it show whatever you like. And again, on here, show how it scrolls through stuff at any points. As for the rest of our content, so with the events, the menus, and the special occasions, they are all controlled through our calendar view. You can see it again on the left-hand side. If I click into that, that takes us onto here. So this calendar here controls all your events, your menus, and your special occasions that you would put onto the virtual notice board. By default, it will show you today's, our current month that we're in at the moment, currently February, as it says there. But you can change that view so you can plan ahead on there. I can use the arrows on the right-hand side there to go forward to future months, or even go backwards to previous months if you need to check stuff retroactively as well. You can see them all through that on there. And as I say, our calendar view will show us what we've got set into the virtual notice board already and take us through anything we need to add into it. So as I say, there's three things you can add onto the calendar to then reflect onto the VMB. The events for stuff you've got going on at home, you've planned in for your residents and visitors on there, so you can show those off. Menus for your residents, so you can see what food they'll be getting on what day, and that can be set up on here as well. And special occasions for things like residents' birthdays, anniversaries, anything else like that you can think of, you can pop those in on there. And they all work very much the same way. So if I actually show you ones I've got set up already before we create a new one, if I click into this board games, which I've got a weekly one going every Wednesday, as you can see on there, I can click onto that and we can see the details of it. So through the calendar, we can add stuff in and amend what's already there, as you can see. So the event itself, the start date, when that initially began from, and the event description. As it says there, limit to 5 lines, so you can make sure it shows up nicely on there. And all the details of that. You can upload images onto there, you can drag and drop them into here like you could anywhere else to have them on there, and all the other details you might have. So you can set it as a recurring event. It's a big thing with these as well. So so if something is repeating, you don't have to worry about doing it every time. You can set it as a repeating event on here. So this one I've got is a weekly one. You can see set as recurring, and you can choose the recurrence type on there as well. In this case, repeating weekly. You've got different options on there though. If it's something every day, every few weeks, once a month, or even annually on there as well, you can set it up all through that as a different occurrence. And if it's something that's recurring temporarily, you can pop in an end date, or if you leave that empty, that will just keep repeating on there forever as long as you want it to stay on that. So you can set up these nice repeating events for stuff you have going on regularly, however often it might be. The regularity can all be set through the virtual notice board on this page. So those events will then show on the events page on the VMB as it's scrolling through, specifically on the day it's for. So in this case, because we're on today's dates, now virtual notice board will show what it's looking at for today. As well as that, I've got a menu on here I can show you quickly. Similar kind of thing as the events. The main difference being, this is 3 boxes for 3 different menus. You can call it whatever you want, but you can see there you've got your 3 boxes there, menu for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. With that, and each one can have its own separate image as well. Again, much like the events, these can also be set as recurring, as you can see on there, and you can say how often it recurs on there, how often your menus change. You can set those up through that. And as you can see at the bottom, there was also this on the events. You can duplicate stuff, hide it from view if you don't need to see it, or delete it completely if there's one you no longer need on there. Yes, they're all edited through this page. But if we want to add on something new, we can instead click on the day we want to add it on for, and just add in what we need to. So let's say it's actually a resident's birthday today. We want to add that in. We're going to add that in as a special occasion. So if I click on today's date, 26th, in there, it brings up our box there saying what do we want to add in for this date. And you can see our three options there, the events, the menu, or the special occasion. In this case, we're going to do as a special occasion. And then we've got all of our details. So let's fill it in the title, whatever you want to call it. Call it, say, a resident's birthday. Very exciting. The start date is just the day it's going to be taking place on, today's date, so you can amend that if you would need to. And we're going to pop in a description. So it's our residents. I'm just going to click one of my residents in my home. Can pop in whatever details we need today. So say it's Iris Watson's 80th birthday today. If you see her around home today, make sure to wish her a happy birthday. So something like that you can have in their description, whatever you want it to say. You can upload an image into it, as I mentioned. You can drag and drop an image into there, or click on the box and choose an image as well, and that will then go onto the special occasion there. And again, we can set these as recurring if we want to. So if I want to be, in this case, it's just a one-off thing, but if I did want something repeating, I can set it up in there nice and simple. Once we've filled out all the information we've got, we can then click Save Special Occasion down at the bottom. And that will save it, put it onto my calendar. And in this case, because I put it on for today's date, that means it will be showing on my VNB as of today once I refresh it. Remember, when you do make a change and you need it to show on the actual device itself, just click Refresh VNB, and that will, as it says, refresh it and upload and show it with the new content that's on there. Well, that's the calendar view, and this is where the essentially the bulk of the content, the repeating work, would be done, because in this way you can be adding stuff on as things change, and as we've got events, as your menus change, as you've got residents' birthdays or whatever you want to show up on there, it can all go in onto the calendar here. And the good thing is, as I mentioned, with the access to CoolCare, certain people might have access to just the VNB, so they can go in on there and upload what they need to. It might be, an admin goes in there, preloads all your residents' birthdays for the next few months, or however far ahead they want to go. It could be you give your chef access or someone to go in there and load up menus for the next month and set them as repeating as much as they need to. Your activities team could go in there, put in all your activities events in there for however often they will happen, or go ahead from there. You could even give access to say whoever's in charge of inquiries for new admissions or stuff like that, to welcome new admissions into the home as well. Anything on that you think of, you can give people access to the virtual notice board configuration on here, and they can put on whatever they want and have full control over all of that. Yes, just remember, whenever you make any changes to it, to refresh the VNB so it then actually shows up on the device straight away. And you can always preview it using View My VNB on there as well. We'll see that in a second. So that's our calendar view, like I say, where kind of most of the repeating work would be done on the VNB itself. Someone has just asked a very good question there. If a resident leaves the home, would their calendar events automatically be removed? In this case, no. Because the virtual notice board is separate from CoolCare in that sense, the only link it has is through the staffing side of things. So if a resident were to leave the home, you would need to go into the VNB and remove any events relating to them. Like if you've got the birthday planned in there already, it would need removing from the virtual notice board on that. So yes, it's only for, like you say, kind of repeating stuff on there. The only link it has typically to CoolCare specifically is through the staffing side of things with the clocking in and out. But that's our calendar view there. Also on the left-hand side, you can see we have today's view. So today's view is giving you a preview of what's going to show up on the virtual notice board on today's dates. And it says there, what's displaying today. And it's showing us any events we've got on there, any previous events we may have had that's been marked to display on the previous events page. any future events we've marked to display on the future events page, the menus we've got set up for it, and any special occasions we've got in there. So it gives you a preview without having to check the VMB itself, if it's in another room or whatever it is, rather than having to walk around the home and find your VMB. You can see kind of directly on here what's displaying. And if we need to make any small changes on the fly, we can do it through this page. Just by clicking on what we've got, if I click on today's board games, for example, I can see the event there and I can edit this specific version of it. So that way, if you've got a one-off change to an what do we call it? An event, we can update it in there. So today is our weekly board game afternoon. Usually it starts from 2 p.m. Today we're going to have to start it from 3 o'clock for whatever reason in there. It might be our activities team that would be running that might be running a bit behind. Whatever it is, we can update that on the fly, save it, and then that saves just that single occurrence on there as well. So it's just that one we've edited for today is easy enough from there. So like I say, if there's been a last minute change to your menu, you can go into there, update that straight away, and that will update just today's occurrence for it. And same with any special occasions you've got as well. And as you can see, it shows you as you can see how many of each type of events we can see on there. So for example, today's events, on there we can have 4 events showing on the VMB on any one day. Same with the previous and future events, so you can have a lot going on in there. The menus, as they use just one out of one, obviously, you just have one menu a day in there, so that's just showing the one in there. And you can have 2 special occasions showing at any time on there. And they all just go into the same page. When your events page, you just see 4 events on there all in one go. So you've got a lot going on if you do have, say, multiple things happening within the home. Well, that's today's view, where you can just see a preview of what's going on. And I can say, if you need to make any changes, you can update them on the fly directly from there. Easy enough. The final bits to show with our settings wise on the VMB is there are some privacy settings. Specifically, these privacy settings are relating to your staff on the Who's in Today page. So talking about who's currently clocked in with our fobbing system and if they would show up on the VMB from that. So there's a few settings relating to that. As you can see, you've got hiding the last names from all staff members. So if you don't want staff members' surnames on the VMB, you can just hit the box there and it'll hide everyone's surnames. If you just want to hide specific staff members' surnames, you can type their name in that box and as many as you need in there. Or you can hide a staff member completely. If they're not comfortable with showing on the virtual notice board, you can just hide them from there and they won't show on the VMB even if they are clocked in. So they can do that at any points, for your staff members' privacy, security reasons, whatever it might be. You can make sure only the people you want to see and only the information that shows on there for your staff-wise would be available to see. And that could be done at any points. Again, when you make a change, make sure you refresh your VMB. So I'm just going to say hide everyone's surnames on there. If I refresh that, we can now view my VMB. I've made a few changes. We've added in events. We've changed some timings and stuff. So now I can preview what that all looks like. Going through the view my VMB option, we can see it all on there. So I can see my Who's in Today on there, which apparently didn't update. Spare me 1 second. We're just going to try that again. Update. So I didn't tick the box. Hit the box to actually do it. View my VM, refresh, and view my VMB, and we'll try that again. Who's in Today is now just showing everyone's first name, as you can see there, not showing anyone's surnames on that. And it's lingering on this page for a bit longer before it scrolls on to the next one, a whole 15 seconds. We've got today's events, which I've updated. You can see they're gone from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. as we've updated that in today's view on there. Our next one, today's menu, should be just the same. I didn't update that one, but you can see it on there. And like I say, those images are always nice to have on there, just to be able to upload them straight into that easily enough. Then our special occasion we've added in should show up in here as well for Iris's birthday. So there we can see that's the kind of thing you can have. And like I say, if I upload an image with that, that would also show in here next to it, underneath it. And of course, the last page, our CoolCare homepage, which should scroll through that a little bit quicker as we set a short timer on there for that one. It says, and just like that, it's gone. As simple as that. So any changes you make to VMB, you can always preview it through the virtual notice board page itself, just through the option there, view my VMB. Remember, when you make a change, remember to refresh it first, and then you can preview it on the VMB, and then what's reflecting on there will show on the device you've got set up in there. Well, that is our virtual notice board. Great little piece of kit that just helps you showing up what's going on in the home for everyone to see. It's nice and easy on there. So I need to swap back to my presentation to finish things up for today. So Thank you all for joining me, for today's look at the virtual notice board. On there, a couple of questions have just popped up. There, so have a look at these. Two people actually asking the same thing about the font on the VNB. You can't update the actual font itself. It is a set default one on there. So it's not anything you can customize on that level. It would just be, the font on there, the typing up is what you've got on there. But the way you could get around that is through uploading an image. So if you did have something specific you wanted to upload on there, you could do it, make it as an image, and then upload that as its own custom page on there. And that's so. I say thank you all for joining today. If you are interested, just to let you know, whether you oversee financing, payroll, rota management, tracking residents, anything you do in CoolCare, you can work with our product specialists, myself and our other trainers online or in person, whatever you'd like. And if you are, you might be entitled to some free training. Every customer should have at least 2 30-minute free of charge training sessions available to use if you've not used them already, of course. You can contact our training team to check your entitlements if you do have that training available on there. You can email us training@coolcare.co.uk, or you can phone us 0113 385 3853, and the member of the team will be able to help you out and get something booked in if you'd like. So, thank you all for joining me today. Last thing just to show you is preview of our next what do we call it? A webinar. I forgot the name for a second there. Our next masterclass is looking at our digital visitors book, and that will be seeing it on there, all things you can do on that side of things. So do sign up for that one if you're interested in seeing that. But yes, thank you all for joining. I say we'll stick around for a couple more minutes just to answer any lingering questions you've got. But thank you all for joining, and I say hopefully I'll see you all on our next masterclass. And of course, have a nice day.